Okay, everybody, we are live once again. This is the our Edmonton Oilers podcast. This will be Quick Hits number 2. Today we have just myself, Paul McCartney, and Adam, Sweet 44722.
You got it right this time.
All right, so
Hey.
I can't always remember the numbers, but regardless, here we are back again. First time in about a month. It's been a pretty long time, but to be fair, we are in the dog days of summer for sure. News is few and far between here. We do have a couple things though. As before, quick hits, 30, 40 minutes tops, hopefully. So yeah, let's. You want to just get started? Jump into it.
Let's jump into it. Go ahead and introduce the first topic.
All right, so we'll start off with a couple of signings that happened a few weeks back. Justin Schultz, first of all. People, they're still not quite sure where Justin Schultz stands with the team. He signed a one-year deal worth $3.9 million. Yeah, Adam, what are your initial reaction? What's your initial reaction to that?
I think it was better to sign Schultz than let him go in the first place. Schultz has more potential to become a very good defenseman, so long as he's not given Shea Weber minutes. And that was the issue we always saw with Eakins, was he didn't really manage the time for anyone really very effectively. We saw Yakupov get either no ice time after succeeding, or play on the third line with nobody, and Schultz was forced in a position with sometimes playing with Ference, which obviously isn't a great matchup, and then he was playing 22 to 24 minutes a night, more than any other defenseman. He really shouldn't have been. And we saw him improve towards the end of the year, as did everybody with Eakins, with Nelson. But he did improve as he played less. And I think I like this deal because all the money's a little high, but due to the arbitration rules, you had to give him at least 100% of what he was making last season. And I think the increase wasn't significant, and in that sense, it's good. I like the term. It's only 1 year. It's a prove me or you're gone deal. I think that's the kind of deal we need with him right now. It's almost no risk. It's a lot of money for a year, but then again, after this year, then Schultz is gone. Nikitin's contract is done, and Ference only has, I think, you gotta have one more year left on his term, or two.
As it stands right now, Ference has 2 years left on his contract. So after this year, I mean, like you said, Schultz has the show me deal, show me or you're gone. Nikitin has 1 more year as well. People have been going back and forth about Nikitin specifically, whether or not he's going to get bought out. I heard that he was going to. Someone said that they saw Bob Stauffer at a gas station or something.
Oh yeah, remember that.
And he said that Nikitin was going to get bought out. That never happened. So, I mean, it just goes to show none of us really know. We're all just here along for the ride. So, Justin Schultz, 1 more year, $3.9 million. It totally is a show-me contract. If he doesn't show significant improvement, I imagine he will be definitely gone. I can't see him kicking around for any longer. But like you said, cutting his minutes back, that's good. So it should, have better performance, I suppose. I mean, Andre Sekera is going to be in the number 1 spot there now. So hopefully it'll just be dialed back a little bit.
Only the other side of it, I think, is he's not a terrible player. Yes, he in the defensive zone, he is a liability. In the offensive zone, he can get he can be a little, sometimes he'll get caught at times, but vast majority of the time, Schultz is fairly good at knowing when to jump up. That being said, he does his. I find with Schultz, the big issue is his mistakes will compound into other errors. Like, you'll see him just kind of spin around the defensive zone and puck will go in, and you go, well, what was he doing there? And he does need to work in the defensive zone, but I don't think this is a terrible deal for the Oilers. I think it's a good deal for both money, obviously, for Schultz, but term for the Oilers. And I think that's kind of where you had to fall in between, is that you had to satisfy his needs while still, giving the Oilers somewhat of a break, in the sense that they didn't sign him to 5 years.
No, for sure. Some depth signings that they did. So Tyler Pitlick, $760K, and then Brandon Davidson, $585K. What are your thoughts on those, and where do you think Pitlick fits into the immediate future here now?
Tyler Pitlick is kind of that depth, like you said, is depth signing, but he's a guy that I think if he can stay healthy, could produce. Like we saw him have success for the Oilers for even for a little bit, and then he got the most unfortunate injury with the lacerated spleen. Like, you
Mhm.
don't see that very often. I have a story where one of my friends I usually referee with got rubbed out on the boards um, when he was in Pee Wee, and he got a lacerated spleen as well. They had to fly him to Edmonton and everything, but it's such a freak injury off of just a non coincident, non sorry, not a big hit, but it's just one of those things that it's the money's not next to nothing. Pitlick, I think, is a good role. Is he, a left wing or right wing?
I always considered him to be a right wing, but I mean, he's
Yeah.
a depth winger. He'll play either if it comes
Well,
down to it, I'm sure.
that's the other thing is that he's still fairly young. So if he
Yeah,
can improve enough, you can always push the old guys out of the lineup, and that's kind of the point of having depth, right? Is
yeah.
that the depth guy is supposed to take over. So I think he can fit in, so long as he can stay healthy, and that's a big caveat. It's like with Hall. Hall is an 80, maybe even 90-point player if he's healthy. If he
Hmm.
gets injured, well, he's not much use to anybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I kind of feel the same way. Where if with regards to Pitt, like I mean, when he's healthy, I believe he can be like a fourth line winger, energy sort of guy. But I mean, injuries have become quite an issue with him, and I don't know. I just think like overall, like signings that the team has made indicates like he might be on a show me year or you're gone as well. So I think that I don't know. I think that he's on a pretty short leash. With regards to Davidson, I have no issues. I mean, obviously the money is nothing, but I don't really anticipate him actually playing any time with the Oilers this year. They got a ton of young guys coming up, so it's sort of like, well, where does he fit? Top four in I almost said OKC, top four in Bakersfield for next season probably. So it's kind of whatever. Like, yeah, Davidson's good, so I do like it at the AHL level, but with regards to the Oilers, I don't really know if it's going to have much of an effect for this season. Maybe next season, but we'll see. Um, Anything else to say about that?
Well, with Davidson, for me, I like Davidson. I like his story. It's obviously the whole come back from cancer. He uh, played the NHL, and he played fairly well. He proved himself that he is capable of playing the NHL level. He made mistakes, obviously, but he's still young. I like the 1 year deal. I felt like it could have gone up to almost 2 or 3 years, and it would have been an injury issue. But 1 year is good enough where that he's at the point where he has to start showing improvement at the age level as well, like significant improvement. And especially with this team this year, the Condors are going to be a good team with, especially if they have Draisaitl and Nurse and Reinhardt, depending on where they end up in the lineup, and
Right.
Davidson and Pitlick and all the returning players. They're going to be a good team. So he has to prove that he can play in the top four there, and he could end up being, a 5 or 6 defenseman with the Oilers if he does get there, which is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I kind of like the term so far from Shirelli with all these players that need to prove themselves, and the term is forcing them to do that. And I think that's kind of the way we need to approach it more. I was actually going to ask you, like, what do you think with these 1 year deals? Are they, like, do you want to keep going to that line, or do you think you just kind of need to double down on some players sometimes?
Um, it depends, really. With depth players, yeah, you don't give term or money to depth players, and like you said, I don't know for sure, but if I were a betting man, I would say Davidson tops out as a third pairing defenseman in the NHL. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but you don't negotiate, I guess, with players of that caliber. Not to say that they're bad players, but what they bring is not difficult to replace, I suppose. So with them, 1 year deals, absolutely. With players like Eberle, Nuge, Hall, um, the 6 year deals right off the bat, I was like, yeah, absolutely. Those cap hits are going to look like a good contract real soon, and they are in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So I mean, I guess it's lock up the key guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I have no problem throwing money at people who deserve it, but don't give money or length to depth players. They are replaceable, and
Makes
that's
sense.
how I feel about that.
That's how you get yourself in trouble, right? But now with Schultz, do you think if he doesn't work out this year, that you have to kind of admit that it was a failure and move on from there, and maybe move on to like LaLeggia, who's going to potentially be a good player? Like it's kind of, do you admit is it maybe the way the Oilers developed him? Is it a case of that he didn't fit in the lineup? Is that he played too much, or is it that he's just not an NHL player? Like who do you think
Well,
is most to blame in that situation too?
he's an NHL player. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. But the question is whether or not he's Duncan Keith or he's Marc-Andre Bergeron. You know, it's like, well, he's probably a lot closer to Marc-Andre Bergeron, but I feel like he's still an NHL player. If he doesn't put it together this season, though, I think that they will let him go almost just out of principle. Just like, yeah, this did not work out. You're like the poster boy for the previous regime and their desperation. Almost that's what it's like in my mind. So, yeah, I don't know. Like you said, one more season to prove himself, and that will definitely be it if he doesn't show significant improvement.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, obviously, the Oilers aren't going to be a great team this year. So, do you think, there's always kind of a scapegoat for the team? A couple years ago it was Dubnyk. Last year it was Petrie. Is this year, if the Oilers, don't play as well as expected, so probably like as they will more, I don't know, maybe outside of the playoffs. Do you think Schultz gets blamed for more of that, or who do you think gets the brunt of that blame?
I think Schultz already gets a fair amount of that blame, to be honest with you. It will definitely be magnified because everyone knows or everyone anticipates going into this year he's going to have his playing time reduced. So if he still has the same issues with reduced playing time, it magnifies it less maybe while you're watching the TV, but people will be able to tune in and say, okay, well, he's playing second line minutes now consistently, and he's still consistently making the same mistakes. Having said that, I think a good candidate for our fury, because we need a scapegoat. We need a scapegoat. Okay, we can't be happy with what we have. Good candidate.
Captain Andrew Ference, TCAF.
To say like Ference was who I thought of initially, but I don't even know how much Ference was going to play this year. I would say maybe Sekera. Sekera, I think, would be a good target. Not a good target. But,
the unfortunate target.
Yeah, I think Sekera would be a target. I don't think he's ever been a true number one before, so I think at the beginning of the season he will be out of his depth a little bit.
What about when he was in Carolina? He was one of the best defensemen in Carolina.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was good in Carolina. Justin Falk was there too, though, wasn't he?
I think he would have been almost at the same time. But Falk's still pretty young, so I think they might have intersected a bit, but I'm not entirely sure about that.
He definitely wasn't a number one in LA. He wasn't in LA very long, though.
No. I have to imagine, to be honest, that Nikitin will almost get blamed for a lot. I think maybe since it is a transition year and it's such a big transition year, and we got McDavid and everything, I have a feeling that it'll end up being either Ference will get blamed, and he'll probably either get chipped out or he'll maybe be forced to retire or something like that. Unlikely to happen. It could be Nikitin, in which case they say, "Oh, he's almost done anyway. He's old. He's hurt. He's done. Whatever." Or it could. I feel like the blame could go back to McTavish and a bunch of the OBC beforehand, where they're saying that, "Oh no, it's okay. This team isn't that good yet because of the mistakes they made a few years ago." I don't know. Like, do you see it that way, or do you see it as more of the players that are still here today are going to get blamed?
I see what you mean, though. I mean, putting the blame back onto the previous manager. But I mean, new GM, new coaches, new assistant coaches, like new body, new mindset. Like, I don't think that's going to I don't think that's going to fly, honestly. Not that I think that McClellan is on a 1 year short leash sort of thing, but I don't think that blaming the previous regime will be much of an excuse. I mean, there's already been a ton of roster turnover. We're getting Connor freaking McDavid parachuted onto our team. So how much can you really screw up? I don't know. I'm sure the Oilers will show us.
I was gonna say if there's anything we've learned in the last decade, it's oh boy, don't count on them out. Oh.
Yeah, don't anticipate them doing anything
Don't
too
catch your
soon.
chickens before they hatch. As long, you know what? As long as we don't break our franchise least wins, I'm okay. I just
Yeah,
want us to win more than last year. That's so bad.
yeah,
Okay.
that was yeah.
All right.
Okay,
So
moving.
moving on.
Uh,
Ian Hebers. Hebers.
yeah,
Hebers. I don't know how to say his name.
I always just said Herbers. Herbers. I'm not sure. Hired as an assistant coach with the Oilers. He is the former head coach of University of.
Juve.
Thank you, University of Alberta Golden Bears. So, University of Alberta. For those of you who don't know, the men's hockey team is awesome. Okay. The men's hockey team has a tradition of excellence, a tradition of winning CIS championships. They're a great team. So, Ian Herbers, he's being brought in here as an assistant coach with the Oilers. And what do you think about it?
Well, first off, I gotta rep my Ravens. So Ravens aren't half bad either. I'll give them credit. They I think got knocked out by U of A a couple of years ago in the CIS. But I mean, I don't know much about the U of A because I'm on the other side of the country, which is kind of it makes it hard. It's not like I can just pull up any piece of writing about U of A and find out exactly how their team's doing. But I know that I've heard good things, obviously from you and Arun and everybody else, and U of A has a good track record. So you have to think that he's been in Edmonton, he's been coaching Edmonton for a long time. The team must know him, and the other side of it is Pisani is his assistant coach, or so he has connections to the franchise in that way, but they might see it as he's got some knowledge of the background of the Oilers, and he's lives in Edmonton. The team knows him. I don't think it's a bad option. If it works out well, then all for the better.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, the guy has paid his dues, I guess you could say, with regards to toiling away in minor hockey. I mean, I'm just going through his coaching resume here. He was with University of Alberta since 2011. Before that, he was with the Milwaukee Admirals for a couple of years in the AHL. He was in the East Coast League for a couple of years, and before that, even he was in the OHL. So it's been like a pretty consistent, I guess, promotion for him. So he's done well. I'm excited to see what he can do, and yeah, I don't really have any issues with it whatsoever. So that's
What's interesting, I didn't know he was a U of A. He was an AHL coach, so he's had experience in and around pro hockey.
yeah, he was with Milwaukee Admirals, and then I know with the OHL he was with the Saginaw Spirit. I don't know who he was coaching in the East Coast League because nobody knows anything about that league, but yeah, he's been around a little bit. He's definitely paid his dues, and yeah, hopefully great addition to the Oilers staff in theory. But yeah, great.
Oh, look who's now in the chat is Aaron's here in the chat with us.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you for being here, Aaron. We appreciate that your computer's now working properly.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Good
Thanks.
job, bud.
All
Anyway,
right.
yeah, no, I don't see an issue with it. Do you think Pisani takes over for U of A? Because I have no idea what they're gonna do with that.
I don't know either. I think that Pisani, he got connections to the Oilers. He lives in Edmonton anyway. I'm pretty like 99% sure he's from Edmonton. I'm like 99.999% sure he's from Edmonton. It just makes logical sense, yeah, that to make him coach of the U of A Golden Bears. And then in a couple of years, I'm not totally opposed to bringing somebody like Pisani or Ryan Smith back to the team. I just want them to pay their dues first. I want them to get experience. You can't just be handed NHL jobs. So
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think actually Pisani, by the way, is born in Edmonton. He's born and raised an Edmonton boy. I think there was obviously the thread a while ago, or the story a while ago, that Smith said he'd be willing to jump back into the game, and I don't think it's a
Midway.
I don't think it's a bad option to have to have lost my train of thought. To have Smith come in and work with the team, because I don't necessarily know if he'd be a great coach right now. He has no experience, and you could go along the try and, like, if you really wanted to, you could go back and say, oh, he was part of the OBC. I don't really want him here, kind of thing. But at the same time, he revolutionized how you play in front of the net. He has the most power play goals in team, or tied for the most power play goals in team history. He has experience playing in the NHL at a high level. He's had playoff experience. So I think he'd be a good addition, like you said, in a couple of years after he's had experience. Where
Yeah,
he's going to get that experience, you don't really know. But great, like I know it's been brought up multiple times, but great players don't make great coaches necessarily. I believe we saw that with the great one.
yeah,
Terrible coach. Terrible coach, great player. It's
yeah.
just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where Smith would get the experience from. I
U of
think,
A now is a vacancy.
yeah, I was gonna say like maybe the University of Alberta. Does he go and work with the Oil Kings? Maybe. I can't see him going to Bakersfield to try and get experience. I think he would want to be in the Edmonton area. So I don't really know what his options are with regards to that. But yeah, 3 or 4 years maybe, and then we can talk about it. But nothing right now. We got a good thing. I don't want to mess it up at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I, you could see it as, like, I guess, like, he wouldn't move down to Bakersfield. So I guess in theory Smith would maybe stop uh maybe stop by OKC, or not OKC. Jesus, that's gonna take a while to get used to.
I know, right?
Bakersfield, yeah, Bakersfield. I can see him maybe in a couple of years, but his kids are still young. I think his youngest daughter would have been is like what, 3, maybe, or 2.5, maybe now, maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm thinking like he would want to stay in the Edmonton area. The guy is just retired. I mean, he's been gone for a year, but he's got young kids. He's not even an old man. He's like
No,
he's not even 40 yet. He's
no,
got a family and a life that he should be able to live. So
exactly. I mean, that's part of it. Is that you can talk about all these people who, maybe, oh, should we bring back Pisani? Pisani lives in Edmonton, so that's a little different story. But should Smith needs coaching? Well, let's send him here. That's not really how it works. You have to think about, he has a family now, at home. It's there's a lot of behind the scenes issues, I guess,
yeah,
if you
no,
look at
absolutely are.
it.
Yeah.
So speaking of
Speaking of
behind the
hot,
scenes, with free agencies, I was we were going through, and I know the two big targets are defensemen that are still open right now is Franzen and Ehrhoff. I know there's a lot of rumors that they were looking. I mean, they're looking everywhere right now. I guess Ehrhoff was rumored to be looking at Calgary and I want to say Detroit. Maybe not. I know the guy that was available the other day, he signed from the Islanders, signed with the Red Wings today. So he's gone. But do you see the Oilers potentially picking up Franz and Ehrhoff? And would you want Franz and Ehrhoff?
no. I've spent the last few years watching Cody Franzen. He is a good defenseman, but I think he's sort of overplaying his hand. When he got traded to Nashville earlier this season, I, I don't think he played especially well after he got traded. I don't really think that he did any favors to his stock. And again, like I said, I'm a Leafs fan, unfortunately. So I've seen Franzen play for the last few years. He is good, but he's coming off of a string of 1 year contracts, which is sort of annoying. So every year he's been getting a steady increase, and now this year he's asking 5 million 5 years or 5 million 6 years or whatever he's asking. I don't really
Yeah.
know, but
Like,
the guy, like I said, he's coming off of a string of 1 year contracts. He is not going to go for a short term contract. He will take you for term and he will take you for money. And I don't want the Oilers getting mixed up in that.
I guess that's the other part of it you have to look at, is that if Franzen's been getting 1 year deals, how
Mm-hmm.
much is he actually going to want for term and AAV? Because he's going to want to get paid. If he's out of a contract for 1 year contract for the last 3 or 4 years, he's going to want a massive deal.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
He's like 27 years old, maybe 28.
yeah,
First shot at UFA status. This is potentially his career contract. So why would he rush it? I mean, I'm sure he's had lots of offers. I don't know why he hasn't signed yet, but I'm sure he's had lots of offers that are offering him $25 million. So maybe he's starting to wait a little bit too long. But yeah, I just don't want the Oilers around him. With regards to Ehrhoff, I think you could get him at shorter term. I'd be more interested in Ehrhoff than I would be for Franzen. The term would be better. I think that the dollars would be better too. Well, not necessarily if the term is shorter. If it's like a 2-year deal, then you're probably looking at minimum 5. But yeah, I'd be more interested in Ehrhoff. He's always been a pretty solid defenseman, in my opinion.
Do you think if they do something bold, like they, let's say they buy out Ferentz or buy out Nikitin and then sign Ehrhoff, do you think you'd be okay with that? Like at like 5.5 for 2 or 3 years? Because at that point, you're paying more salary, but you're upgrading the player quite a bit.
Yeah, you're definitely upgrading the player. Yeah, I mean like Sekera and Ehrhoff, or did you say Ehrhoff or Franzen?
For Ehrhoff, I'm avoiding Franzen right now because I don't think that we're gonna be able to afford him and I don't think it's reasonable to afford him at what he's asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Ehrhoff, like, he instantly becomes like your number 2 guy, pretty much, maybe a number 3. I feel like he is headed downhill. I don't know. He didn't have a great year last year with Pittsburgh. He was injured for quite a bit of it, so I don't really know what the future holds for him. If I had to choose, and if you held a gun to my head and made me choose, I would choose Ehrhoff. I would not be okay with anything beyond like 2 years, though, and I don't see why he would go for that contract anyway.
Well, the other side of it is Ehrhoff is now 33.
33, yeah.
So you're getting the older of the 2 players, and he made $4 million last year. So he's probably going to ask for a slightly higher AAV because he is getting older, and he would be a veteran presence. Now, I don't know if you sign him from maybe 4. I don't know if he'd take 4, but if you sign him for 4, I would think that's an okay deal. Like if you can get him and then offload some contract, I don't think it's terrible.
You're like I don't know, these these 5, 6, 7 guys that we have, they're just such a logjam. Ferentz, Greiba, Nikitin, Reinhardt. It's just
Davidson will be pushing. Yeah, it's just
such a logjam. I don't know how they're going to do it, and honestly, I'm glad that it's not up to me. All I can offer is my opinion, and then when things go off the track, I can say I told you so.
We didn't say anything, but we told you so. Damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so going along with all the terms and the contracts and everything, we obviously have the big money project of the Ice Arena, or the Ice District going up. Did you like the name? What do you think of it?
I honestly don't have much of an opinion on the name. It is a little bit corny. It is a little bit. It feels like it's catering to like families somehow, which I've seen enough of at Oil Kings games over the years. Oh my God! Don't even get me started.
That's junior hockey though. I mean, the 67s do the same thing.
Yeah, it's a little corny. So, but
the 16-year-old cheerleaders, which is a little creepy.
Yeah, overall, I don't really care. It's not a huge
deal
to me. What do you think about it?
Obviously, I mean, it's not life-threatening because I don't particularly like the name, but it's not like I have any decision in the matter, and it's not like it really impacts anything for me. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to boycott the Oilers because screw the Ice District. It's like, probably could have picked a better name. I would have maybe something like the Patch or like something kind of oil field related instead of the Ice District. But I don't know. What do you think about Calgary's whole potential one-manship on their district?
What? Oh, I didn't hear about this.
I guess they're looking to start developing a new district because the Saddle Dome's getting fairly old too.
Yeah.
And I think they might try to make it slightly bigger and slightly more expensive than the Oilers one, than the Ice District.
Really?
I'm sure that's unintentional, but
Yeah. I'm not I don't really care. I mean, downtown Calgary. I don't know. Have you ever been to downtown Calgary?
Well, I have family live in Cochrane, so I've been around the area, but I haven't been in downtown Calgary just itself.
Downtown Calgary sucks. All right. I'm just going to come out and say that. Downtown Calgary is awful. It's full of one-way streets every which way. It's you have to know where you're going in order to get anywhere in downtown Calgary, I feel. Whereas downtown Edmonton, it's a nice grid. Everything is two ways. Much better. Downtown Calgary. Don't like don't care for it. Whatever they do to their oil patch district or their Calgary ice district, ours will be better. Ours will be better.
I love the air superiority we've already developed. It's like, nah, we're better.
No, we're better.
Jumping back a little bit to the Airhoff thing, Matt said he thinks Franz is a better pickup. Contract is an issue, but need a better blue line to play with a strong offense. And he has past experience and had good seasons, so it's worth a shot. But he prefer Airhoff because he might perform slightly better, and a contract would probably be better. So that's kind of I think was along the lines of what we were saying is that Airhoff is getting a little older, but he's potentially going to perform better this year or next year because he'll have that experience, and you do need experience on a young blue line, especially with Nurse coming up and Reiner coming up and all these young guys. But at the same time, contracts are an issue, and we don't want to get log jammed like the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I can probably come off as too conservative with my contracts or my desires sometimes, but it's just like I'm thinking so far ahead, I mean, Schultz, what if he does pick it up again this year? What if he scores 45, 50 points and has a great year? Like, you're not going to get in 5, and he's going to be asking for 5. I mean, like it could happen. I don't think it's going to happen, honestly, but it could happen. So you just got to be thinking in the future.
Yeah, yeah, and you have to pay out, but you can't, give everybody massive contracts.
You got to be a good negotiator.
Oh man. Okay, so another one that we're looking at here, Glenn Sather is gonna have his banner, a banner in his name raised to the Rexall Raptors on December 11th. Do you approve of it? Who else do you think would and like do you like it, and who else do you think should get their number raised to the Raptors?
Well, it's not like a retirement, is it? It's slightly different than that.
No, they're raising his banner. It's a banner raising ceremony.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I don't really care for it, honestly. It's sort of like, well, yeah, he was the GM of the team, and he had great teams back in the 80s, but I mean, he didn't win those cups. He didn't score 215 points. He didn't score 205 points or whatever. Like he was there, but
he wasn't. Yeah. Well, what about in that line then? What about Rod Phillips?
Yeah, no, that's another thing. Like I'm pretty indifferent to Rod Phillips, but that's only because I've lived in Edmonton for only the last decade or so, and Rod Phillips has not been like a significant part of my life. I have no emotional attachment to Rod Phillips, and he called over 3,000 games, I think, since like the 70s before he retired. So he is a community icon, and he was a community icon for 30 years, whereas Glenn Sather, not nearly that long.
But he helped build one of the greatest franchises in history.
He did, but the job that he has or had is by nature divisive. Like you're gonna get a lot of haters in his position, whereas Rod Phillips, he's like warm apple pie, baby. Just turn on the radio and you got Rod Phillips announcing the game. Open up a cold beer,
So
nice book.
So where do you draw the line then as far as jersey retirements go? Does it have to be a player or someone special to the community, or it can't be somebody associated with the team that didn't actually play for them, kind of thing?
Well, I mean, any player is obviously up for grabs. I wouldn't have retired Rod Phillips. I would have maybe given him like a mural or something along the Rexall concourse. I wouldn't have retired the number or given him a banner. as far as non-player personnel goes, you got to get like, yeah, God, I don't know. You got to win as many Stanley Cups as the pocket rocket Richard. I mean, you got to be counting on your third hand before I would be okay with it.
What about Joey Moss?
No,
No.
no,
Oh,
I
it's Joey
don't.
Moss.
I appreciate what he's done for the team and for the community over the years, but ultimately he's an equipment guy. You know, he's not a player.
I think for me, banner raising for every team is a little different. You know, if you look at the Red Wings and they have more numbers retired than they should retire than almost any team. And same thing with the Canadians and probably you could say I guess the Leafs in some sense, although not recently.
The Leafs
Um,
actually only retire numbers when I think it's like the player gets really injured or something like that. Like they have really specific criteria.
yeah. So every team's a little different, I guess we could say. But I think with the Oilers, in the sense that they're retiring Rod Phillips and Glenn Sather, I think this kind of establishes them as retiring players who are integral to the team, not just the team's success, but the team as a whole.
Mhm.
Glenn Sather obviously built the teams that won Edmonton the Cups that established themselves as a franchise and grew hockey in the city and in the country. And then there's also, you look at Rod Phillips was, like you said, he was a community darling. He called games and brought up generations of fans and millions of Oilers fans. And like I know myself, that's how I started listening and getting Oilers, was that I was able to listen to them on the radio and listen to the games, and he always called them so well that I felt like I was in there. I could
Mhm.
feel my heart blowing with it. When game was overtime, and it was always fun. So it's that kind of thing. I think it's appropriate to retire his number. For the next player, I think if anybody knows me at all, I think this is kind of a given. I want Smitty's number retired. Whether it will be or not, I don't think it will be. He was huge, but he's not the best player of all time. He's the heart and soul of the Oilers, but I mean, you could look at a couple players that every team's had some sort of heart and soul player, you know, to an extent. I don't know, you know, maybe they might retire his number, and you know, it might be Shirelli and Nicholson establishing their stamp on the team, where it's like, you know, if you work hard, then maybe. But sorry,
I said Cicerelli.
oh yes, it's Shirelli. That one's out to you, Ruin. Thank you for that. Um, but I don't know. It's just I feel like I want his jersey retired. I don't think it'll happen, but I think the best time to retire it would be in the new building, the opening night. It'd be Madhouse, made favorite player of all time, jersey retired. But at the same time,
Me though, like
unrealistic.
you acknowledge yourself that Smitty was never a superstar, and I'm thinking over the course of the last 20 years or so of Oilers history. I mean, who else would it be? Smith, Doug Waite was good here for a long time, but he didn't have success. He had good seasons, but
Yeah, he was never, an Oiler
yeah,
legend.
yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seasons and 8 seasons and a bit with the Oilers. He got over 100 points one season. He had a 90-point season, 80-point season. Great stats individually, but you're not going to retire somebody's number for that. And if it's not going to be Smith or Waite,
Who's it going to be?
literally who?
Yeah,
It's going to be somebody like Hemsky.
no. I think part of it for me is Smitty was the icon for the Oilers for the longest time.
Yeah,
He was the guy where the team may change from year to year, and the team's going to be better or worse year to year, but Smitty's always going to be there until
yeah.
2006, and
He
then
was
that
like
was really a thing.
the everyman hockey
2007.
player.
Yeah, and that was the other thing, is that he wasn't the guy that went out and scored 150 points a year and won the Art Ross and the Calder and all the trophies, but he was always consistently trying his ass off and playing as hard as he possibly could.
Captain Canada too.
Exactly. What's the other thing is that he has had good success in his career. Like, we're not talking about some scrub here.
Yeah, he has an Olympic gold, and he won. He was on the World Cup team back in '04.
Multiple. He won the Spengler Cup in 2012. He won World Junior. He won, I think it was 3 World Championships and the Olympic medal. Like,
Mm,
ain't no scrub. But then again, compared to the Oilers legends that are in the Raptors right now, it's hard to beat Coffey and Messier and Fuhr and Gretzky, obviously.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they have anyone to retire, honestly.
No, would you think they would let anybody retire? Like, or sorry, would they let anybody, like, would they retire anybody's jerseys in the next little while, or you think it's kind of until this generation goes that maybe they retire somebody?
I
Because
was gonna say, if Hall and Eberle, like I could see Eberle getting retired maybe, but like if they spend significant time with the team has success, then yes, definitely.
do you think a requirement is a cup in Edmonton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the old generation set the bar really high that a cup is required. In my opinion, I think.
Now, I'm just thinking in general. I know we're not going to touch the Kane issue with a 10-foot pole because that would be social suicide. But in going along with the great player, terrible human being debate, do you retire a player's number if they are still a terrible person but an incredible hockey player? Do you induct them into the Hockey Hall of Fame? Because part of being, I think, being a represent, being having a banner raised is being a solid person and like being a representative of the organization. And for the Hockey Hall of Fame, it's is it more about being a player, is it about being a representative of the game and a good player? Because if you look at it, I mean, Patrick was a Hall of Famer, and he was, or is he a Hall of Famer? No, yeah,
Yeah.
he is. Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, or he will be eventually, if not now. I'm like 100% sure he is, but he's not exactly a great guy. Brett Hull, who was one of the greatest Chicago Blackhawks of all time, was a terrible human racist piece of garbage. But
Yeah. To
do,
answer your question, I guess like yeah, I think that I actually I don't think that being a terrific human being is a prerequisite. I mean, the Hockey Hall of Fame has already demonstrated that it's not. It's not even really an issue that's up for debate. The one exception to this is Eric Lindros, who I believe should 150% be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's just separate Lindros, the holdout, versus Lindros, the hockey player. I mean, Lindros, the holdout, yeah, he was a total jerk. He didn't report to the Nordiques. They had to trade him, et cetera, et cetera. He even sat out a year. But after he got traded from the Nordiques to the Flyers and played for them throughout the 90s up until 2000, there was a period there of 6 or 7 years where Eric Lindros was exactly as advertised, and he was the toughest player in the NHL. It's a I don't want to say joke, but he should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. If somebody like Cam Neely is in the Hall of Fame and Eric Lindros isn't, it's stupid. I mean, the guy has 865 points in 760 career games. The career length isn't what we hoped for, but in retrospect, the style of play that he played, it doesn't lend itself to long careers anyway. But well over a point a game. The guy is tough as hell, and yeah, I don't know where I'm really going with this because you didn't prompt me to talk about Eric Lindros whatsoever.
yeah, it's part of this. I mean, so we're at about 42 minutes here. So I'll do a quick rundown of a couple topics I have here and give me your answers. 30 seconds max for each one. Surrey, his letter apologizing or thanking Edmonton fans for still being kind after the whole issue with management. Do you buy it? Yes, no. Does it change your opinion on Surrey?
I buy it. Yeah, he's an Alberta boy. I think that he's gonna have a bit of a soft spot for Edmonton in his heart, whether or not he will admit it. I think that he'll hate management forever, which he should. But yeah, I do buy it. And honestly, I never harbored a lot of anger or resentment towards him in the first place. So,
All right, and then rookie tournament in Penticton is coming up. Are you going to go to? Sorry, that's the rookie tournament is coming up and preseason's coming up. Are you going to go to either one of those? You going to make the trip out?
no, I will not go to Penticton this year, but I put that in there just as sort of like an announcement here for everybody. If you have the opportunity to go to this tournament, go. It's great hockey, cheap tickets. It's still summer. It's Penticton. If you've ever been, beautiful city, wine country, Okanagan.
Oh God.
100% go if you have the opportunity. It's fantastic. I went 2 years ago when right after Nurse got drafted, and it was a fantastic time. So definitely go if you have
Yeah.
a shot.
Kelowna and Vernon, I can't recommend enough. Single game tickets go on sale August 19th at 10 a.m. That's Wednesday. Are you going to buy a season ticket, or are you going to buy a package to the Oilers or anything this year?
I am. I got this set up with a friend of mine. He's going for the first game of the year, and I'm going for the last game of the year.
Nice.
So if it all works out, I will be going to the last game at Rexall Place. So it will work out one way or another. I will be at that game, regardless of whether or not I get tickets on Wednesday. I will be there, 100%.
All right. I think that's all we have time for today. Uh, I'm Adam, and the other guy on the podcast with the beard is James. James. We are our Oilers. We're missing our third member, obviously. Follow us on Twitter. Maybe subscribe to YouTube, something like that. It really makes no difference at this point because we don't monetize anything. But we are looking for guests.
Yes.
So
We've mentioned this before
if
to
you want to see you guys. Yeah. Oh, and of course we have audio. We have audio only versions now. So if you go to archive.org and you search up our Oilers, our podcast will come up. We're gonna also try to get on iTunes within the next week. If you follow us on Twitter, we'll tweet out when the audio versions are up. Should be within 48 hours of the original broadcast time. Other than that, hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.